A metal door separates 10,000 people from a toxic wasteland. If you ask to open it, you die. But what if that dead landscape is a massive lie? Welcome to the Silo, a deep bunker built to keep humanity safe from the ruined world above. The residents have strict rules, secret cameras, and zero history of how anyone got here. Let's break down the entire first season of this hit thriller. Deep underground, 10,000 people live in a massive concrete cylinder called the Silo. Nobody knows who built it or what happened to the world outside. All they know is the golden rule. If you say you want to leave, they let you. And you never come back. Sheriff Holston Becker is the man tasked with keeping the peace in this pressure cooker. He and his wife Allison finally win the community lottery to have a child, which means the local doctor removes Allison's mandated birth control implant. Except, Allison starts talking to the wrong people. She meets a fertility expert who feeds her subversive ideas about the Silo's history, and an IT guy named George Wilkins, who shows her something that could get them all killed. It's a forbidden relic from before the Silo's Great Rebellion, a computer hard drive. On it, Allison sees a video of the outside world that isn't a toxic wasteland at all. She realizes the people in charge are lying about everything. And to prove it to her skeptical husband, she takes a knife to her own stomach. She digs out the birth control implant that was supposedly removed months ago. Bleeding and frantic, she marches straight into the crowded cafeteria and says the magic words. She wants to go out, which means her fate is sealed. The rules of the pact are absolute. Allison is stuffed into a heavy environmental suit, sent out the airlock, and told to clean the camera lens so the rest of the Silo can see the dead world. She promised Holston she would only clean it if the outside was actually beautiful. She wipes the lens, takes a few stumbling steps, and collapses into the dirt. 2 years later, Holston is a ghost of a man. He's investigating the death of George Wilkins, who supposedly threw himself off the Silo's central stairs, which is when Holston meets Juliette Nichols. Juliette is a gritty mechanic in the down deep, the lowest, dirtiest levels of the bunker. She was also George's secret lover, and she tells the sheriff point blank that George didn't jump. He was pushed. Holston starts digging, connecting George to his late wife's forbidden hard drive, and the sheer weight of the conspiracy finally breaks him. He quietly leaves behind a statement nominating Juliette to be his successor. Then he walks into the cafeteria and asks to go out. Outside, Holston's visor boots up to show him a lush green paradise, exactly what Allison claimed. He takes off his helmet to breathe the fresh air, crawls toward his wife's body, and dies right in front of the horrified citizens. Mayor Ruth Johns and Deputy Sam Marnes now have to make the grueling 144-level trek down to the bottom to meet Holston's replacement. They expect a seasoned peacekeeper. Instead, they find Juliette covered in generator grease, trying to retrace George's final steps in the flooded dig space underneath the Silo. Juliette wants absolutely nothing to do with the badge, until Johns hands it to her, and Juliette flips it over. Scratched into the metal back is a single word: truth. It's a final message from Holston, passing the baton of his investigation. But before Juliette goes topside, she has to pull off a miracle. The Silo's main generator is failing, and fixing it requires shutting off the power completely, something that has literally never been done. With only seconds to spare before a catastrophic steam explosion blows the bunker apart, Juliette and her mechanical team manage to fix the massive rotor blade. During the blackout, the cafeteria screens flicker to a vibrant green landscape for a split second. In the chaos, nobody seems to notice. Juliette packs her bags, leaving her surrogate mother, a reclusive engineer named Martha Walker, to study a forbidden camcorder she found among George's things. Juliette's promotion naturally enrages the establishment. Head of IT, Bernard Holland, and Judicial's chief enforcer, Robert Sims, are furious that a lowly mechanic is now running law enforcement. And their anger seems to have immediate, lethal consequences. On the slow climb back up, Mayor Johns drinks from Marna's water flask and drops dead, coughing up blood. Marnes is devastated, realizing he was the intended target. But before he can tear the silo apart looking for the poisoner, he's attacked in his own apartment and murdered. Just like that, Juliette is the only real law left in a bunker where the bodies are piling up. Judicial immediately tries to sweep it all under the rug. Sims has one of his goons, Doug Trumbull, plant evidence in a resident's apartment to frame him for the murders. But Sims doesn't leave loose ends. He corners Doug on a high balcony, feeds him a line about doing his duty for the silo, and throws him over the edge. Doug is posthumously blamed for everything, and Judicial considers the case closed. Juliette isn't buying a word of it. She tracks down Regina Jackson, George's former lover and relic dealer, who hands over a piece of contraband George left behind. It's a children's pop-up travel book showing cities and oceans, concepts that simply do not exist in the silo. Meanwhile, Juliette gets saddled with a new chief deputy, Paul Billings. He's Judicial's inside man, meant to keep her on a tight leash. But Juliette figures out Billings has the syndrome, a neurological tremor that strictly disqualifies him from serving in any official capacity. She keeps his secret, and in return, secures his reluctant loyalty. Her digging soon leads her to Gloria Hildebrandt, the fertility expert who first radicalized Alison Becker. Gloria is being kept heavily drugged in medical on Judicial's orders. Juliette manages to sneak her out, get her lucid, and Gloria drops a massive piece of the puzzle. She's part of the Flame Keepers, a secret lineage of rebels trying to preserve human history. The silo's leadership has been systematically wiping them out by preventing them from having children. Even worse, Juliette realizes exactly how Judicial knows everything. The silo is watching. Behind the massive wall mirrors in every apartment are hidden surveillance cameras, boasting technology way beyond what the citizens are allowed to own. Juliette retrieves George's hidden hard drive from a vent in Gloria's room. But Sims' raiders are onto her, tearing through medical and missing her by mere seconds. Juliette decides to punch back. She uses Billings' strict adherence to the law to temporarily arrest Sims, locking him up just long enough to raid his office. Inside, she finds a file on her own mother, Hannah. It turns out Judicial's cameras caught Hannah building an illegal multi-lens magnifier years ago, a discovery that ultimately drove her to suicide. Juliette realizes her entire life has been shaped by the people behind the mirrors. But she makes a fatal miscalculation about who is actually pulling the strings. It isn't Judge Meadows. Bernard Holland, the boring bureaucratic head of IT, corners her. He is the true dictator of the silo, and he orchestrated the murders of Johns and Marnes to protect the bunker's secrets. Bernard and Sims confiscate the hard drive and declare that Juliette has asked to go outside. It's an immediate death sentence. Cornered on the central stairs, Juliette does the only thing she can. She vaults over the railing, plummeting down into the depths to escape. Now public enemy number one, she dodges the cameras, uses the massive trash chute to move between levels, and breaks into Sims' own apartment. She plugs in the hard drive and finds a video from George. He tells her he loves her, and that she needs to find a massive, mysterious metal door hidden at the flooded bottom of the silo. With the help of an IT contact, Juliette cracks open another file. It's footage from a past cleaning, showing a landscape that isn't dead at all, but lush, green, and teeming with birds. Juliette manages to hijack the silo's main screens, broadcasting the green world to the entire cafeteria. For a few stunning seconds, the citizens see a paradise, before Bernard violently shuts the system down. The net finally closes around her in mechanical. Bernard offers her a deal. Go outside willingly, and he won't punish her friends in the down deep. To twist the knife, he shows her security footage of George's death. George wasn't pushed. He jumped to avoid being tortured for information. Bernard smashes the hard drive to pieces, convinced the threat is neutralized. Juliette is stuffed into a cleaning suit, marched up the ramp, and sent out the airlock. Her helmet boots up, and suddenly she's standing in a vibrant, sunlit paradise. But she remembers the display in the cafeteria. She reaches down and feels the texture of Holston's body, which is entirely invisible on her visor. She realizes the horrifying truth. The green world is a lie. It's a CGI filter pumped into the helmets to give the cleaners a sense of euphoric hope, tricking them into wiping the camera lens. The reality is the toxic wasteland. Juliette refuses to clean, dropping Holston's sheriff badge onto his unseen body. Down in the IT server room, Bernard starts to panic. Cleaners are supposed to die within 3 minutes because the toxic air eats through their suit seals. But Juliette isn't dying. Because before she was captured, Martha Walker finally conquered her agoraphobia. Martha left her workshop and called in a favor with supply. She ensured that the cheap judicial heat tape on Juliette's suit was swapped out for high-quality engineering tape. The suit actually holds. Juliette survives the poison, walks toward the dead tree, climbs the massive crater wall, and crests the hill. As she looks out over the desolate, ruined landscape of Earth, the camera pulls back to reveal the true scale of the nightmare. She isn't alone. Stretching out to the horizon, surrounding the ruined skyline of an apocalyptic city, are dozens of other massive craters, dozens of other silos. For generations, the worst punishment imaginable was being sent outside. But the real terror has nothing to do with the poisoned air. It is the realization that their entire universe is one hole in a dead world. The lie is broken, but the truth offers nowhere to run.